Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good to see you, and welcome back to the Nerd List channel for what will most definitely be the spiciest video to date. We can all agree that superhero movies are extremely popular. The MCU is extremely well done. I'm sure there's, people that will say otherwise and all that. But the MCU is at this point a behemoth. It is a franchise that has been cohesive and has been going on for over a decade, and it's pretty insane. However, DC didn't start when they were supposed to and tried to jump ahead, and it's been a mess ever since. And I think that we can all agree that, while there's been some good attempts and some good moments, that the DCEU is probably officially dead, given how Warner Brothers and Discovery are handling it. But I figured, what a great time, what a perfect time to unbiasedly rank all of the DCEU movies from good to bad. Now, I do need a little disclaimer here that this is my opinion, and you can call me Marvel fanboy, DC hater, or whatever. That's fine. That's all good. I'm ranking them also in comparison to each other, so that'll bump some of the rankings a little bit. Would not expect very many S tiers. That's a spoiler alert. Anyway, so let's get into it today. Before we do all that, though, make sure you go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, hit the bell button, leave a comment saying that my booty is nice, and let's get into the video. All right, as you can see, we have our standard board up here with S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. So we are starting with Aquaman, and honestly, Amber Heard stuff aside, I honestly wasn't a huge portion of the movie for me, anything like that. I'm gonna put Aquaman at the B tier. The pacing felt really kind of sluggish for me as we went through it. I do absolutely love Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I love the changes that they made. I like that they tried to do these big epic battle scenes. Honestly, for DCE, actually, for DCE, I'm gonna put this as an A tier. This is one of the better movies that has come out of the DCEU, and I think that this was their first steps in the right direction. It didn't continue in that direction, but I think this was their first steps in the right direction. Next up, we have The Birds of Prey. This movie was really bloated. I honestly do enjoy the nuance that Margot Robbie has brought to Harley Quinn, and I like, there was really cool moments with seeing her jackals and kind of dealing with this breakup with the Joker and all this kind of stuff. I kind of wish they had involved, as much as I hate it, the Jared Leto Joker, just to make it, just for comedic purposes, a little bit more than they did. Ewan McGregor was fun. There was some good and funny parts, but it just felt like it ran forever. Not all the jokes really kind of landed for me. The action was pretty cool. I absolutely love the scene with Harley breaking in where she's got the cans of smoke and she's going through that entire, warehouse police station type deal. That part was really sick. All the cool slow-mo, that was really cool. It had potential to do really cool things, maybe later on with these characters. We'll see what they decide to do, if they do anything with any of these characters anymore, but this one was a C tier for me. Okay, let's just get this one out of the way. It's here. I can't inflate it, boys. Absolute D tier for Batman versus Superman. There's no actual fight for the title fight of the movie. There's 7 minutes of movie of them fighting. I love Jesse, okay, but that is the worst. That is as bad of a casting with Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor as Jared Leto as the Joker. It was nothing like the character. I understand you want to try your fresh approaches and try new things, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For me, this one didn't work. The Martha line will forever live in my head. This is one of the worst DC movies for me. There's one more that I would peg as worse, but this is one of the worst DC movies for me. It was a directorial mess. I know that people are big love with him and all this kind of stuff, but it was. I went to see it 3 times in theaters, thinking that maybe I had the wrong opinion, or I was just having bad days or whatever. And at no point, I've watched it 2 times since on streaming and stuff. At no point has this movie ever been enjoyable for me. So also Doomsday. That's all I got for that one. That just this was a miss if I've ever seen one. Then we have the Justice League, right? It is also a D tier. That movie was absolutely again a pacing mess, the CG mess. I will say that we're kind of a spoiler alert, the Zack Snyder cut was way better. I hate the aspect ratio, but whatever. But it was way better in its tone. I don't think it deserved its own Snyderverse that a lot of people were hoping for or whatever. I'm actually gonna go ahead and rank that one. The Justice League League is an absolute D tier. The Justice League, the Zack Snyder cut was B. I feel like it was very solid, had really cool moments. I still wasn't a huge fan of everything they decided to include and not include and stuff, and the CG was still kind of, you know, gross or whatever. But it was head and shoulders better. Their ensemble movies so far have not felt like good grouping. It's never felt nice and balanced. And so I hope they find that going forward. But for me, the Justice League is D tier and the Justice League Zack Snyder cut is B tier. Okay, so this one might be a little controversial, but this one, Man of Steel, I actually really like. I'm gonna put Man of Steel at B. I was almost gonna put it at A, but I still feel like Aquaman was more the direction that the DC universe should have headed in general. Just the feel and the pacing and the flow and how they did some characterization. But Man of Steel, like, everyone gives a crap about, like, you know, Superman killing someone and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's not ever, I feel like, been a problem for Superman. I don't know where that one came from. Like, I've avoided the entire topic when we did Batman vs Superman about Batman killing people, because I don't want that argument, because I definitely have a stance on it, but it's super just not great. But when it comes to Man of Steel, I feel like there was obviously some dumb stuff, like the Kevin Costner like just getting himself killed by a tornado for like no reason. I know, like, oh, don't reveal yourself to it. Like, it was dumb, stuff like that. But I don't know, man, like this was one when it came out, I really enjoyed it. Like, could it be improved upon? Absolutely. But was it better than most of what else was been put out? Absolutely. So for me, Man of Steel is a B. Now, Shazam. Okay, so this one's going to contradict itself. Shazam, I didn't super enjoy. Shazam is an A. And so that makes no sense, but because it kind of, again, it had some of the misfitting humor, like they were trying to put too much into it, like that, the scene with the Batman doll and stuff. But like, again, it was still more in the direction that I feel like the DCEU should have strove to have went. It did great characterization. Like it was still better than most of what was put out. It was really funny. Like, I'm really kind of excited for the second one to see how they play on it, except for the fact that they said they adding Black Adam to it, who is a major part of Shazam stuff. Like, adding Black Adam to it would ruin it. I don't know how I feel about all that, but Shazam was still one of the best. Like, you know, it really was a kid who came into superpowers, and they portrayed that. As much as I hated seeing Shazam hit the floss, like, he is a kid, and you know, like, you know, it worked pretty well. So for me, Shazam is still one of the better movies that they put out in this franchise. The Suicide Squad, the James Gunn Suicide Squad, is the S tier movie of the DCEU. Not only because it's just, you know, James Gunn's directorial style is just super fun anyway. And he does great with ensemble casts. He left it open for future projects, but that movie felt like it had good weight to it, had good characterization to it. Again, I love the actual cinematography, like style of it. The Starro reveal was super awesome. Like the Starro zombies were done really well. It is the best movie that DCEU has ever pumped out, and I would watch this movie at any point. Like, if you told me let's watch it today, I would watch this movie. It focused on its characters and did not focus on trying to expand the world, but it did end up expanding the world. So when you have a good story, you can build a universe around. Like, obviously the Suicide Squad's never going to be the center of the DCEU, but this was the best movie that they released, bar none. This one, adding a complete tier, this one's F minus, dude. The other Suicide Squad was one of the worst movies that I've ever watched. DCEU aside, one of the worst. Man, if you want to know how bad this movie is, just go look up a video essay on just the editing. All right, just on how they cut the movie. Production hell, reshoots, cutting scenes in and out. David Ayer like did not basically get to make his movie. This movie was horrible. Jared Leto's Joker makes me want to choke myself. As soon as they released and they saw like the damage tattoo on his forehead, immediately like, no, this is disgusting. And guess what? It was one of the worst. If you love it, dude, embrace it. This is one of the worst movies I personally have ever watched in my life. DC, it gets its own freaking tier. Then we have Wonder Woman, and thirded, I gotta put Wonder Woman kind of up here in the A tier. I did like it more than Man of Steel. I hate that it always comes down to like this power of love thing. They do so much with this character, and then they throw in a lot of stereotypes as the movie progresses and stuff. But like, so many of these scenes were super dope. I wasn't a fan of the big, like, I was kind of hoping that, like, you know, this Ares thing was actually not going to be a thing, and it was just going to be this cruelty of man, and it was going to be like, you know, that's her decision, like she needs to help fix mankind or whatever. So the ending kind of, you know, for me, but the movie itself was actually super fun. I think a good direction that they could again continue to use in the DCEU. So for me, Wonder Woman's an A tier for this franchise. And last but not least, we have Wonder Woman 84. And for me, Wonder Woman 84 is like a C-. Hated the Trevor storyline. I hated the villain storyline. Her armor at the end was pretty cool. Like, that was awesome and stuff. This movie focused on all the wrong things, even like the wishes and all. Like, just I didn't want to watch it within an hour of watching it. It felt better than the movies that it's above, like, you know, but it didn't do anything. It again just felt kind of ridden with like really weird like tropes and decisions, and it didn't really do anything for the character of Diana, to be honest. So I wasn't a huge fan of it. Gal Gadot actually does a pretty good job with Wonder Woman. I hope that she continues to be able to do so. I don't know what their new universe looks like, as we have like basically Black Adam's the only thing that I'm 100% aware is happening and what's, you know, for their universe. So we'll see. But for me, this was the DCEU. Please try not to murder me too hard in the comments, but do what you must. I understand, completely agree, especially if I, you know, absolutely dookied on your favorite movie. I apologize, but these are my personal rankings. So let me know, how did you feel about it? Let me know down in the comments below if you agree, disagree, what you would move up and down and all that. Make sure to leave a thumbs up for YouTube. We would really appreciate that, and hit the bell so you get notified when we drop more videos, and subscribe. That way, you know, you also know when we're dropping it. But that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you on the next list.